Welcome to another edition of the Day After Podcast. I'm Jared Johnson. I'm joined by the mighty Joe Yeager. Well, mighty Joe, first of all, that's a stylish purple shirt there.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I just want to clear something up right away before anybody gets any wrong ideas. I'm not a closet horned frog or anything like that. I can just see somebody wearing a purple shirt. No, it's just, I like the shirt.
As a matter of fact, out of the two of us, it would be me, although I went against the whole family idea of going to Texas Tech or going to TCU. My dad played football there, which I mentioned many times, but they didn't care. They were just, hey, he's going to college. Who would have thunk it?
Right.
But anyways, 56-48, Texas Tech defeated Oklahoma State in a good old-fashioned Big 12 shootout. And I thought it was really cool that you, in your Yager shots, Mighty Joe, listed all these shootouts that Tech and Oklahoma State have had. Yeah. I remember Tech one time in the Kingsbury era, like scoring over 50 points and still losing by like 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Right. Yes.
And they had a big lead at halftime and all
70 to 53 back in 2015.
Man, that was just
some kind of great defense that Tech had back then.
Yeah, no. And you know what? We'll get into it, but Tech doesn't have a very good defense this year either. But I do want to say, in my opinion, and rightfully so, the guys on offense should get a lot of credit. But the difference was that Texas Tech had Jacob Rodriguez and Oklahoma State did.
Right.
They had a guy who made a couple of ginormous plays. One was him pouncing on they couldn't get their snap down, Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
Which was weird. I know it was a new quarterback and all that, but still, that's a pretty basic part of the game. But anyways, he was there. He's the one who and this has happened time and time again this year, where when Tech needs a play, who's going to make it? It's Jacob Rodriguez, and he pounced on that ball in the end zone for. That was a big play when nobody was getting any stops. The two teams combined to score 69 points in the second half alone. And J-Rod came up with a big play there. And then he had the game-sealing interception to go along with, oh, by the way, a game-high 13 tackles. So what a stud. And I think it's apropos that we lead off by talking about just, imagine this team this year without Jacob Rodriguez. They're not bowl eligible, in my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, when's the last time Tech had? Would you put him above Jordan Brooks? In terms of NFL ability, no, obviously not.
Yeah.
But in terms of actual production, I'm not sure that Brooks ever had a year quite as good as what Rodriguez is doing right now.
Not as far as impact plays.
Yeah.
You look at Arizona punching the ball out. And there's 3 or 4 games where he got the big turnover that was the difference for Texas Tech.
Yep. So, my opinion, obviously heavily biased, but a strong All-American candidate for me.
Yeah.
A defensive player of the year and the Big 12 candidate as well.
Yeah.
He's got to be in that conversation.
Yeah.
He's just having a monster year. Really is.
And what's cool is that a lot of times these writers, they're busy. I get it. But when you're looking, like nobody's watching every game in the conference, especially now that it's so big. I don't care who you are. I've watched more this year just because, for one, Texas Tech has mattered more this year than they have. But also, it's been so dang entertaining. Big 12 football, you never know who's going to win. It's almost always close. One team that looked like they were out of it this season, like a Houston or a Baylor or even a TCU or Kansas.
What is Kansas?
It is just really wild. And I know that's hurt. This is a whole other topic that's hurt probably the playoff chances for Big 12, possibly. But, man, it's made for some I think this is what matters. It's made for some really entertaining football. I don't think it's been bad football, like some people have said. I think there's been some really good football, a bunch of future NFL players, believe it or not, in the Big 12, and just up and down. You just totally unpredictable. It's reminded me of the NFL. Where they're going for parity. They're going, nobody's going to stay on top long because of the salary cap and all that. And that's what the Big 12 is right now. It's just Kansas can rise up and stun somebody. Colorado might lose, in a game like that.
And BYU was riding high.
Yeah.
Now they're a little bit of a tailspin.
And Arizona State looks like the team.
Yeah.
At least for this, we'll see what happens. They got to beat Arizona,
right.
So. This is a totally different topic, I know, but it's that time of year, and it's fun. Which is ultimately my point. But yeah, going back to the game, 543 yards of total offense. So Zach Kidley has received a ton of criticism, and I think in some cases rightfully so. But it's one of those kind of things to me where I don't understand it. Like I've criticized him. There have been times like last year, I was really down on him because it took him half a season to realize you had Taj freaking Brooks in your backfield, but he did. And that hadn't been a problem this year. And when Tech has needed some big drives, I think him and Baron Morton have dialed up some game-winning drives, some big, even Will Hammond, he didn't fumble that ball. You probably beat TCU. And then imagine the conversation we're having. That's not Zach Kittley's fault. You could argue with putting the ball in a freshman's hands in that scenario, but I also understood his argument of having Taj Brooks an extra blocker in order to possibly pick up the first down. So Zach Kittley, I think, deserves credit. I don't understand why he's so hated by Texas Tech fans.
Yeah, I know. It's a little bit of a puzzle. I mean, statistically, Tech's offense is, I think it's tops in the Big 12 right now. It has been pretty much all season long.
Yep.
It's hard to argue with that. I mean, they're putting up a lot of points, a lot of yards, and that's kind of the job of the offense. So, I think a little bit of that is over the top. Although, I got to say, and maybe it was just my small mind is not capable of grasping this, but I mean, early on, I just didn't understand in this game what Kittley was doing. Because, I mean, it was, I know he was trying to surprise Oklahoma State.
Which he does that too much. He's like Kingsbury in that regard.
Right. But, I mean, the deal was that Oklahoma State had basically the worst rushing defense in the entire country coming in. And you've got Taj Brooks. What are you going to do, right?
Right.
And yet Taj didn't touch the ball for the first three drives practically. I mean, here or there. But
as a receiver, I think he had
probably more than as a runner. And so, but yet they did score touchdowns on those first two drives. Yeah. But I thought, okay, this is good. They scored those first two touchdowns against Colorado too.
Right.
As I was watching this, I thought, that's not sustainable.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not going to work. That's not what is going to get the job done all day long against Oklahoma State. But, to Kittley's credit, gradually over the course of the game, he shifted more towards running the ball with Taj Brooks. Still threw it around a lot, too, obviously. Yeah. Baron Morton had a great day. And so it all worked out. I mean, I don't know if that was his master plan to sort of shock him with the pass and then gradually move back to the run or what. But whatever it was, whether it was premeditated or not, it worked. So hats off to him.
Yeah, hats off to him. And Baron Morton is somebody that I think justifiably have criticized. Even in the game yesterday, there were times where it was like, man, he's it's kind of the same things you said. Not great pocket presence. Sometimes his accuracy comes and goes. Those kind of things. But his stat line, 37 of 53 for 404 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception.
And that scramble, that 3rd and 11 quarterback draw.
That was epic.
That may have been outside of that fumble recovery by J-Rod. That may have been the play of the game. Right?
Yeah. It was great. And he spread the ball around. Taj Brooks had a monster game. I mean, if one was to try and criticize the offense and Kittley's game plan, I mean, he had 28 carries for 133 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also led the team with 9 catches for 65 yards and a touchdown. That was a beautiful play. Yeah. That was huge. I think those last possessions of a half. I know this is near and dear to your heart, but kind of like basketball. Like what happens in that final minute, and it was a tied game. Oklahoma State seemed to have all the momentum from coming back, and then you had that 2-minute drill capitalized with that really nice play, touchdown pass to Taj Brooks. Great throw, perfect throw, great catch, and route from Taj. And I'm glad he has that on tape for NFL scouts too, just for him personally moving forward, because he can be an effective receiver out of the backfield, and he was, and they needed every bit of that effectiveness yesterday. Now, Coy Aiken, I was glad to see him get back involved because he had kind of gone away. I don't remember him really doing much the last several games. But 7 catches for 90 yards. And the tight ends were really a focal point. Yes. That was something from the get that Zach Kittley, Baron Morton, Texas Tech wanted to establish, and they kept going to it. Jalen Conyers had 7 catches for 74 yards and a touchdown. Mason Tharp had a couple of touchdowns, or a couple of catches and a touchdown. I think it was the first touchdown of the game. Yeah. And then John Carlos Miller even had a couple of catches for 21 yards. Josh Kelly, not as big of a game as normal, but that's fine. just before catches for 31 yards. And then Caleb Douglas, 5 catches, 105 yards, and a touchdown. So he was big in the game. What do you think about just the overall spreading the ball around and the production of offense?
Yeah. That was by design.
Yeah.
From Kittley to make sure that, particularly to get the tight ends involved.
Yeah, clearly.
Because, that's something that, I mean, one of the criticisms that I think you can level towards Kittley is, or perhaps him and Morton, is that the tight ends haven't always been utilized this season probably as much as they should be.
Yeah.
You got 3 talented tight ends there. You need to get those guys involved, and they certainly were in this game. Made a difference. You scored 9 touchdowns against these guys. So, and to go along with the 543 yards or whatever it was. So, all in all, just really good execution and good overall game plan and design, and very impressive.
So, I'm mathematically challenged. 56. Is that 8 touchdowns or 9 touchdowns?
There was 1 defensive touchdown. So 49 points on 7 touchdowns.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, offensively.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. That's how challenged we are with math. We need somebody just to do math for us on staff.
Right. Get your son Luke in here.
Yeah, he's actually a lot better than I am, which isn't saying much at math. But you don't have to be a mathematician to know that this defense has struggled this year.
Yeah.
And they certainly struggled against Oklahoma State team that has now lost 9 if you go back to the Big 12 championship last year. 9 consecutive Big 12 games. Guy making his first start. Yeah, Ollie Gordon's very good. Presley's a good receiver. They have talent over there on offense. But what's your thought about the defense after 11 games? What could be done? Is it just is what it is this year? I know things change a lot in terms of with the transfer portal and overall rosters from year to year, but how concerned are you about the state of Texas Tech's defense at this point?
Yeah, well, I mean, as you mentioned, it is what it is right now. I mean, obviously you try to keep improving for West Virginia in the bowl game, whatever that is. But realistically, at this point, it's you got what you got, and it's not that good.
It's not good.
So if there's criticism of a coordinator,
It's Tim DeRuyter.
It's Tim DeRuyter more than Wes Kittley, or Zach Kittley, excuse me.
Either one of them.
Yeah. So yeah, right. There's that was probably the worst day of the season, I would guess. And there's been some
really bad games.
Game, but that one yesterday was really awful. You weren't stopping them in the second half unless you turned them over.
Those 2 J-Rod.
That was it.
Turnover. I mean, really, if you take Jacob Rodriguez off this defense, it's up there with some of the worst defenses we've seen from Texas Tech. And that is saying something. Because that's good. All the history of having such great offenses, you've on the other end of such terrible defenses.
Yep. Rodriguez is the fireman. He puts the fires out, but there's nobody else back there for the most part. So, you were missing Harvey Dyson yesterday. He was out. But, you got Isaac Smith in there. I mean, that shouldn't be a major issue, And Ledette was in and out of the lineup yesterday. He was banged up, and I don't know what his status is moving forward. But everybody's banged up this time of year. You can't go there for excuses. It's just Gordon hadn't had that a big year. And he up to this point he had 700 rushing yards, averaging I think 4.8 yards per carry.
Yep.
And then he has his best game of the year by far.
156 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, what was the average per carry? Big.
10.4.
10.4 per carry. Man, this was like that guy from Washington, Bryson, or from Baylor, Bryson Washington. Sort of came from out of nowhere and scorched Texas Tech.
Yep.
So Tech has problems against the run. They have problems against the pass.
That's for sure.
They're out of position too often.
They're not even close in coverage.
They really are.
I mean, they're like 5 yards away. I mean, it's a high school level.
Yeah.
It's not big time college football level coverage.
It's like they can be playing man defense, but it looks like they're playing zone because they're so far off.
Yeah.
So not good.
No.
Not good at all.
Yeah. And, so that kind of brings me back to the offense and Tech, in the big picture of this season, they are 7-4. They have secured a winning record in the Big 12. The first 3 years of the Joey McGuire era, 3 winning Big 12 teams. And, it had been since 2009 since you had a winning record in the Big 12. You have never had 3 consecutive winning records in the Big 12 before, so this is a first.
Yes,
And you have an opportunity to win 8 games in the regular season for the first time next week against, or I guess this Saturday coming up against West Virginia. So, I keep kind of going back and forth. I get the frustration from a lot of fans because of what could have been. And there were opportunities missed. TCU, Colorado, Baylor, those are big opportunities missed. But at the same time, when you look at the craziness that is college football, just in the Big 12, but also when you look at Alabama blowing a big opportunity, Oklahoma going in and kicking their butt. Who would have? I wonder how many people lost their butts on that betting on that game. So I feel like there's a lot of work to be done in terms of getting to a Big 12 championship, winning a Big 12 championship, all that stuff. But I do think it's headed in the right direction. I really do, Joe.
Yeah, and to me, that's the only thing that really matters.
Yeah.
Is that you just keep on getting a little bit better all the time. You keep building the program out, and eventually you break through if you do that long enough.
Yeah.
It's a situation right now where a play here, a play there, and Tech could be right there in it for the Big 12 title right now.
Yeah.
So if you improve again next year, as much as you improve this year, assuming that you beat West Virginia, the next year, next year, we always talk about next year, right?
That's one of the things. That's it. Fans are tired of it.
I understand that, but again, if you get that continued improvement the way we've seen under McGuire up to this point, then next year could theoretically be the year. So let's just keep on improving.
I kind of feel like Maximus, which you probably haven't seen this movie, but the first Gladiator with Russell Crowe and all that.
I've seen bits and pieces.
Academy Award winning Picture of the Year, Actor of the Year, all that. Gladiator 2 came out this weekend, so that's heavy on my brain. But I feel like Maximus, when he throws his sword up into the crowd and spits and says, "Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?" And I think we've been entertained by the team this year in Big 12 football.
Sure.
That's my ultimate takeaway. But big game coming up, 11 a.m. this Saturday at home in the regular season and home finale at the Jones against West Virginia. A KG, as always, West Virginia squad with Neil Brown coming in. But we'll have a preview video for that game as well. Mighty Joe, great stuff as always from you. Thank you all for watching, and until next time.